And just so y'all know, if you in Atlanta, we do have Sabbath classes pursuant to the lunar calendar. So if you want to determine the Sabbath without looking at a calendar, right? The first day of the month is a new moon. The second day of the month is a half moon coming from your right to the left. So if you looking at the moon and the light is from the right to the left lit up, and the rest from the left to the right is not lit, right? So of course this is my right to the left. Whatever way it is for yours, just put your right hand up. Understand, if light coming from your right to the left and it stop in the middle, which is a half moon, that is another Sabbath day. The rest of the moon will be dark, so you will have a half moon. So from the middle to the left will be dark. From the right to the middle will be your second Sabbath of the month. That's the week after new moon. Then you have a full moon, right? When the moon is actually in its full perfection, that will be another Sabbath day. That's the 15th day of the month. That's the third Sabbath of the month. Then, of course, the moon comes from the right to the left. So now, the right side from the right to the middle will be dark. From the middle to the left will have light. Those are your 4 Shabbats. So when the moon is completely dark at 0%, that day, the half moon coming from the right to the left, the full moon, and then the half moon coming from the middle to the left, right? So boom, those are your 4 Shabbat days. But notice how these feast days are landing on Shabbat, and we are to treat them as Shabbats, right?
All right, we are not to treat these moon portions as Shabbats like this brother just said. This lunar calendar nonsense is made up by camps, so not all, just the ones that rock with it. So he's justifying these 4 moon portions as Shabbats to each month. The only problem with that is one, it's every 7 days. It's not every 4 moon portions, because, and then leading to the second point, in between each of these 4 moon portions, it might be 6 days, it might be 8 days. If the commandment is every 7 days to keep a Shabbat, following this lunar calendar as he just described is not Torah. You see what I'm saying? That's the first thing. So what he's doing and what he's not taking into consideration is that, so he said the 15th is the third Shabbat, which is, what is it? The full moon. Full moon is the 15th. That's your third Shabbat. That's what he said out of his own mouth.
When the moon is actually in its full perfection, that will be another Sabbath day. That's the 15th day of the month. That's the third Sabbath of the month.
Now, he's going off of 1 month where that's the case. In this particular season of the year, you do luck out and you do get it like that. The problem with that is, you see it right here. The problem with that is that it's not always like this. As you see up here, so-called January, in between them same 2 moon portions, you don't have 7 days. In between these 2 moon portions, you do not have 7 days. Again, you have to forget about the commandment, which is 7 days, to use this moon portion doctrine, which is not in the Torah. It's so obvious, but again, most Negroes are not being analytical. They just watching YouTube. They lazy. You know what I'm saying? Like, you have to analyze and you have to fact check things. Right here, you look out and get it. But up here, between the 4th August, you see what I'm saying? It's 8 days. It's not always 7 days. It varies moon to moon. One particular moon you might get hit and get low. You might hit the jackpot like he said, but to use that as a standard as if every month is like that, you're gonna be off. And so let's say you're using January. Well, if it's every 7 days and it's off from what he's explaining, you're going to be off the next moon cycle, then the next. because it's not locked in like he's explaining. He's using one particular month. For example, I'm going to use this one as an example where it is like that. But you can see different moon cycles to different, you know what I'm saying? They differ from moon to moon to moon. It's not always, you can see it if you actually care for evidence. You can see that every moon cycle is always different. You're going to have 6 days, 8 days in between. You might get lucky and get 7 days in between. But the fact that it varies is evidence. It's prima facie evidence that using this to determine the Sabbath day is completely off. You're supposed to use the moon for feast days. Like this new moon is a new month or new moon cycle. But that's it. You're not supposed to be using this for days. Let's get a witness right here. So this is Sirach 43:7. From the moon is the sign of feast. It doesn't say the sign of days, years, months, everything. It only is talking about for feasts. It's only talking about this. You're not supposed to be using the moon to determine every 7-day Sabbath. It's like, do I even need to go? Like, apparently I do, because again, most Negroes are not reading. They just want to scream and holler, and the guy that's actually analyzing stuff is the scoffer. You feel me? This is where you get your commandments that Negroes are not reading, obviously. So 6 days shall you labor, do all your work, but the 7th day, not every 4 moon cycle portions, is the Sabbath of the Lord thy God. You're not supposed to be using moon portions to determine a day. Therefore, to get 7 days to keep the weekly Sabbath, you use it only, as we just read, for your feast. It's not, if it was every 7 moons, yeah, okay, every 7 moons is a Sabbath day. But it's every 7 days. And that's the flaw. Like, nobody's reading anything. It's just, let's turn on YouTube and listen to some Negroes talk and give their explanation of when to keep the Sabbath day, which goes against what's blatantly in front of you right here. This mess does not determine your Sabbath day. The new moon determines your new month or moon for your feast, as we just read in Sirach. Okay, again, this has nothing to do with this guy, the music, the logos. The camp, the members, none of that. Now, I could care less. It's just the fact that this lunar moon doctrine is completely wrong. But that's all I have for now, as it is written, and I'm out.